Day one of Broncos Training Camp is complete. We're here to break it down for you with the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater. I'm Aric DiLalla. Steve, fans were out there today. We got to our first real taste of practice. It's nice to be back, right?
Yeah, it's so nice to be back. It seemed like we've been gone from football for so long, and it was a great day out there. The weather guys did us a good job, too, with providing some cloud cover.
Yeah, it was nice and cool. It's not going to be that way, I'm sure, all of training camp. But it was nice out there today. Steve, the focus was third down for a lot of the day. They did it in 7-on-7. They did it during a blitz period. Certainly at the end of practice, each quarterback got 4 reps on some third downs of varying lengths. When you look at third down, both offensively and defensively, what are the keys to being successful, and how important is it that they're prioritizing it this early?
Yeah, well, first off, I think it's always important to prioritize third down. You're going to know you're going to be in that situation many times throughout the season. And I would say from an offensive standpoint, you want to make sure that you can keep the clock running, and it makes the earlier down so much more important. So that third down, you could be third and short, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, versus a 3rd, 7, 8, or 9, where it's much more difficult. And certain teams have tendencies as well. You know, certain teams, they'll run their receivers right, maybe a yard past the sticks, and try to get the first down. Other teams, they'll keep their route the same regardless, and they'll just, if it's a 10-yard route and it's 3rd and 4, they'll still run a 10-yard route. So you got to make sure that you know as a defense what that offense is doing.
Yeah, certainly on this day, Steve, varying levels of success, right? Zach Wilson was out there first, Jared Stidham, then Bo Nix. Each guy had a couple of times they were able to help pick up those first downs, and a couple of times where the defense got the best of them. I would say generally on this day, Steve, the defense did a good job of staying over the top. They did not allow big plays. We saw Bo at one point look deep for Troy Franklin, wasn't able to connect. A couple other deep attempts, but for the most part, the defense did a really good job. Some good pass breakups, and I thought that continued to the third down work. Steve, as we look at some of the guys that stood out, and granted, we've talked before, we don't know exactly what the coaches are looking for. Yeah. We don't know exactly what the play call is, but just from our eyes watching, Riley Moss stood out a little bit, had a nice pass breakup. At one point during a special teams period, he was able to down the ball at the 1-yard line and make an impressive play there. When you look at Riley Moss, what do you see, especially as he looks to take a jump going into year 2?
Yeah, I see a playmaker. I wish we would have gotten a chance to see more of him last year. I told you when we were playing the Chiefs, I would have put Riley Moss right on Travis Kelce because he's one of those guys that can stick to you. Has a larger body. He has the speed, the quickness to do it all. And I'm looking for him to make a big jump this year in terms of playing time and effectiveness.
Yeah, another guy who stood out to us was Josh Reynolds. Came over from the Lions, kind of that second, third wave of free agency, but was a big addition. Had at least 3 or 4 catches that I saw, a couple more targets as well. Whether it was the middle of the field, a crossing route, that sort of thing. I mean, he kind of worked the whole field. And Steve, I think when you talked to Sean Payton about him, I asked him about him after practice. He said, listen, he's got this tall, lean frame, but he can still block. He can play in traffic. I think Josh Reynolds could be a big part of this offense.
Yeah, a huge part of the offense. And I remember Sean Payton, I think it was in an interview yesterday or a couple of days ago, mentioned something about when he was watching the 49ers and in his earlier days, and he saw Jerry Rice run out there, John Taylor, and to see these guys be as effective as they were at 6'2", 6'3", and be able to run that way, he has a prototype wide receiver, and I think a majority of the guys on this team fit that mold in terms of being long, lanky, being able to go up and get the balls, make great catches in great situations. And that's going to be a big help for our team throughout the season.
Absolutely. And the other thing about Josh Reynolds that Sean Payton mentioned was loves football, loves being out there. So that's great, too. I think he's going to be a good veteran addition. Steve, obviously everyone wants to know about the quarterbacks. We've now gone through 3 days of practice. Jared Stidham's gotten 1. Bo Nix has gotten 1. Zach Wilson has gotten some reps with the first team. I think they've all done some good things and some things that they need to improve on. We will see as we move forward kind of how the reps are split up. Sean Payton said he would keep the media updated. So excited to see who's out there on Saturday. Steve, one thing to note that we'll be keeping our eye on, Brandon Jones, a safety, as we're recording this, being evaluated for a hamstring injury. He left during practice. Not sure how severe it is, but they do expect Nick Bonito to be back out there at practice tomorrow. He'd missed the last couple of days of teamwork. So out there tomorrow, we will be back here tomorrow to tell you what you need to know from Denver Broncos training camp. For the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, I'm Aric DiLalla.